Hi, welcome back to Overanalyzing The Walking Dead. I got a camera. I think it looks pretty good. Like, it's not the best quality or anything, but I think it looks pretty good, and that allows me to do a lot more dynamic stuff with the editing. It's gonna be really fun. I don't know. It's still a little awkward for me. Like, it's one thing to be in front of a mic and do this kind of thing. It's a whole different thing to be in front of a camera. Did not really realize that until right now. But I think I got it set up in a good way. That hopefully not too loud with the mic. Hopefully not anything. If you're watching this as one big video, which I'm going to hopefully do, I am sorry for the juxtaposition between episode 1 and episode 2. Hopefully the rest of the episode should be more similar to this style. I like it. This is my first video on channel with a camera, so we'll see. So, we ended last video by Lee coming out of the car crash and encountering his first zombie for the entire game, which ended up being the police officer. Now, after that, Lee uses the shotgun to kill the police officer. Then that gunshot is what ends up attracting all of the other walkers into the area. And that causes him, with his, messed up knee, to really be in a dire situation now. Because he's got zombies coming from all over, and he's limping over here with his knee. And he eventually is able to make it just in the nick of time. He's able to make it to the fence and is able to crawl over the fence. Just barely, with his messed up knee. And then there are some gunshots off in the distance. Lee happens to get super lucky, and all the zombies get distracted by the gunshots and go over to the gunshots. Now, at this point, after Lee just barely makes it away from the walkers, we kind of have a soft moment when Lee is kind of roaming around his backyard. He doesn't really know what's happening. He's a little nervous. And then you actually have a few options here, because this is one of those moments where you're free roaming around the open world. You're free roaming around this section here, and you can kind of piece together what's going on a little bit if you have a very keen eye, and especially with hindsight. Obviously, we've played the game before. We know Clementine is here. We know all this stuff. It is really interesting to look at some of the details. If you go up to the treehouse, you can actually speak with it. Say, hello, is anyone up there? Clementine, being very smart, does not respond because she has no idea who this person is and is probably really scared of him, which is honestly really smart because, yeah. You can also look around. There's some, tea sets and stuff. There's, definitely some hints that there are people were living here. One person is still living here. People who live here have kids. A small little tea set, obviously Clementine's little play toys, stuff like that. It's good attention to detail there. Then Lee, kind of getting acquainted with his surroundings, goes up to the house, knocks on the back door, and I think it's pretty important to remember here that Lee really does not know how bad it is on the outside. I mean, he's been in prison, or at least jail, right, for the past maybe couple weeks, so he doesn't really know how bad it's gotten. And, the hints that we have, obviously, is that there's some sort of infection going on. I mean, he sees zombies, so he knows something is up. Like, these people are just attacking him, maybe some sort of rabies or something. I mean, also, again, it's important to know that in the Walking Dead universe, there is not such thing as zombies in fiction. Like, I know Robert Kirkman slips up a few times and the characters say zombies, but, it's not, that was just a mess up. There's not supposed to be zombie media in this world. It's not really a concept that exists to them, which is really scary because, to us, we might have, no matter how outlandish an actual zombie apocalypse is, we might have some sort of pseudo plan in place, right, of some sort of crazy infection like that made people go insane. And I think it's really important to know that Lee has no idea what's going on outside. And, this is a sketchy scene. Just pulling up to someone's backyard, you just got out of a cop car. Obviously they don't know that, but, you're in someone's backyard. So he very cautiously knocks on the door and is like, hey, I am not an intruder. Please, I need help. Let me in. My knee is incredibly messed up. He's just hoping that these people in this house are going to be nice and welcoming. Although I have a feeling that if you're going through, let's say, at least a week, right, of zombie apocalypse, even half a week of zombie apocalypse, you would be incredibly wary of any person outside your house. And it's my personal headcanon that if this house was occupied by people, it would have been a way different outcome for Lee. As Lee enters the house, he makes it very clear he is not an intruder. He is not here for nefarious reasons. He is simply looking for help, human to human, which I'm sure a lot of people are. And it's just a really, really scary situation, honestly. Like, just thinking about this as, like, not as a video game, not as a story, as, like, real people in this real situation, that would be terrifying. I mean, it's really scary. And so he says, I'm not an intruder. I'm not one of them, whatever they are. And it's just a really, and, he sees the state that the house is in, and he goes, holy shit, these people probably needed more help than I do. But unfortunately, it's too late. At least, luckily for Lee, then it's some sort of safe space that he can stay. And although it doesn't end up being that safe, there's like tons of blood everywhere. There's furniture overturned. It's rough. I mean, there's a struggle here. It's rough. It's a rough scene that Lee walks in on. That you, the player, walks in on. I mean, it's brutal. The game gives another opportunity for the player to sort of explore around a little bit. I mean, this is a small confined area, but the environmental storytelling is very good. Like the blood everywhere, and then like the fact that you can clearly see the footsteps leading into the kitchen, right? The fact that the furniture is overturned, specifically blocking the door, which is scary. It makes you think someone trying to Again, there's a lot of different like headcanons where you can go with this, but it definitely wasn't good. Whatever happened here was not good. Then Lee makes his way over to the phone, and this is when a lot of people give in to the game. They kind of understand what kind of game this is going to be. And I'll play you the audio here because I cannot do it. I can't do the performance justice.
3 new messages. Message 1, left at 5:43 p.m.
Hey, Sandra, this is Diana. We're still in Savannah. Ed had a little incident with some crazy guy near the hotel, so we had to get him back to the ER and have it checked out. Anyway, he's not feeling well enough to drive back tonight, so we're staying an extra day. Thanks so much for looking after Clementine, and I promise we'll be back in time before your spring break.
Message 2, left at 11:19 p.m.
Oh my God, finally. I don't know if you tried to reach us. All the calls are getting dropped. They're not letting us leave and aren't telling us anything about Atlanta. Please, just leave the city and take Clementine with you back to Murrieta. I've got to get back to the hospital. Please let me know that you're safe.
Message 3, left at 6:51 a.m.
Clementine, baby. If you can hear this, call the police. That's 911. We love you. We love you. We love you.
Oh, yeah. That performance by Rebecca Schweiss, I think that's how you pronounce it, is truly, it is a haunting, it's a really, really haunting message. The way that the hierarchies change, in terms of like the hierarchies of needs, change throughout the messaging. The first message is, they're still on vacation, they're happy. They just had a little incident, it doesn't matter, whatever, some crazy guy. And the babysitter, Diana, don't worry. Don't worry, we'll be back in time for spring break. You'll have your spring break free. Like, that's where the priorities are, right? And then the second message is a lot more intense for sure. It's, wow, our calls have been getting dropped all day. We don't know how to reach you. At this point, we just take Clementine with you and keep her safe. Like, that's what they're at then. Then, just throughout the night and then the morning comes and one last message, and it's just the priorities then change to call the police. This is the number, and we love you. It's really it speaks for itself when I play it. I mean, every time I hear it, it's just emotionally devastating, and like it has an effect on you every single time I hear it. Like I'm like even I'm sure when I'm editing this video I have to put it in. It's gonna have the same effect on me. It's ooh, that performance is so good. And like the final gut punch of Lee picking up that family photo as she's saying the last message. Oh, it's incredibly well done. Just it's like the 1, 2, 3 of the messages, and it's the last one that's like Sparta kick into the abyss. And that moment, sort of, where we hear these 3 messages, like I said, I kind of said at the beginning, this is truly the moment where, as a player, as a viewer, as whatever, you understand what kind of story this is gonna be, and this is when you give in. This is when you say, "Oh, this is gonna be an emotional journey that I'm about to go on," and it definitely is an emotional journey that you're about to go on. So then, after that heart-wrenching scene, the radio goes off, and it's Clementine, and she thinks that her dad came home, and she gets really hopeful. Because as we see from the family portrait, Lee looks pretty similar to Clem's dad. Like, honestly, I can see the similarities here. I can see that definitely from up in a treehouse, looking down into your house, you might mistake. Lee, just like the player, is a little confused, taken aback by why he's hearing a little girl's voice, especially with the juxtaposition of what we just heard with the beautiful music and the beautiful haunting performance. And then it's a very sharp, change in what's going on here. And just like Lee, the player is kind of confused about that. And one of the first things that Clem says to Lee is, "Yo, be quiet, bro." And that shows us that she might even have a better grasp on the situation than even Lee does. Obviously, with hindsight, we know that hiding somewhere in this kitchen, somewhere hiding in here, is a goddamn lurker, son, a walker. And Lee does not know that at all, but Clementine has some sort of idea about that. Throughout this interaction, we learn a little bit more about Clem, a little bit more about Lee. This is Clem's house. That means that the recording we just heard was of Clem's parents, and the family picture was of Clem. And then, as Lee, as a player, we kind of realized that, oh, this little poor, Lee came here looking for help. Now he realizes that the person who was staying here is clearly in more need of help than he is, and he, being a phenomenal person that he is, steps up to that occasion and does it. It's confirmed to us here that Clem's parents are on vacation. Specifically, we learned that they're in Savannah on vacation, where all the boats are. Thank you very much, Clem, for adding that. It's good detail. And I think this is kind of an interesting time to look at the geography of Georgia and just kind of where all these towns are, because I realize I've played these games so many times, but I've never actually done that. So here you go. I did all of it for you here. 3 Google searches. I know, a lot of work. And as you can see, we have Atlanta up here, and then Savannah all the way down here by the coast. And in the middle of both of them is Macon, which actually is pretty interesting. And it kind of makes me wonder, or it kind of makes me see why they picked Macon, because if you set a route from Atlanta to Savannah, which is what I did to see how long it would take, it takes you literally, or at least it did for me, maybe it's just traffic on that day, but it takes you literally right through Macon, which is pretty interesting because, that is probably why they picked Macon as a hometown. It just makes sense that they would be going right through there, and then with the hindsight of knowing the general story, they can kind of pick a town that Lee is from, in there, which is pretty smart. It's pretty smart. Anyway, so it takes about 3.5 hours to drive from Atlanta to Macon. Hopefully there's no train in the way. And the walk was about 4 days, which I thought was interesting because there is an alternate universe here where Clem and Lee don't get lucky enough to meet Kenny with a car, or don't meet anyone with a car, and they gotta trek it, which would be rough. 4-day walk. Yeah, that's rough. Now, this is actually when we get our first proper look at Clementine. Up in the treehouse, she kind of waves to Lee and says, "Hey, And Lee says, hey, back. It's a really nice, wholesome moment where they both kind of interact with each other. Then we get a little jump scare. Second jump scare of the game. Thank you, Telltale. Which, you guys ever wonder, like, where she's hiding out? Like, I know in the lore of The Walking Dead, at least in the comics, there's like a few kinds of different zombies. Like, it's not as extreme as it is in the later seasons of AMC, where they go like crazy with the Walker variants, but there are definitely like a few different distinct personalities that Walkers have, and so some of them are what we call lurkers, which we see a little bit of that in the TV show, but like they just kind of sit there and wait for someone to come to them, which is actually kind of a really scary concept because a room full of a bunch of dead zombies, one of them could just be alive, essentially pretending to be dead, which yikes, that's probably how most people would get bitten. And then there's like the traditional zombies that we see, the roamers that kind of roam around, and maybe a little bit easier to handle. You can see them coming, and they're pretty slow. So I would assume that this, the babysitter zombie is a lurker. Although it kind of gets into question. Although why didn't she pop out? Why didn't she pop out and show him when Lee walked past? And again, where is she? I always just kind of like my headcanon is that she's like sitting hunched in like the oven or something, and then she just like pops out at the exact moment. Although it's a little unrealistic, but come on, this is a story about dead people walking, so I don't care about realism. I care about realism, but like not it's. Bro. Clementine, being as smart and resourceful as ever, comes to Lee's rescue here and actually gives him a hammer. And I love the detail of Clementine, like her entire body is shaking. She's terrified of this, but she still steps up and saves Lee's life. And like I honestly think that without that hammer, Lee probably would have been cooked here. Like, maybe not, but I like to think that both Clementine and Lee both need each other to survive. It just kind of makes for a better story in my head. So even if you don't agree with that, it makes for a better story. Also, another thing. Where did she get this hammer from? Maybe she had it up in the treehouse with her? She wouldn't be able to use it, though. So, I mean, she brought a hammer up with her. Again, I don't know how she claimed it's in her teeth. But why? Because Clementine wouldn't be able to use it herself. I don't know, just a little tiny plot hole, but like it doesn't matter. I mean, what am I saying right now? And this is also, it's pretty easy to forget. Like, obviously Clem, when she's older, she's very much so a badass. Like, season 3, even season 2, onwards, come on, still not bitten is just, that's so cool. That's so badass. And like, even now, when she's like 8, she is still a fucking badass. Like, people forget. What other 8-year-old would run towards danger just to save someone? And again, you see her shaking all over. She's terrified. But she still does it. And like, that shows true bravery when you're super scared and you still do something. Yeah, Clementine is a very well-written character, even now, when she's supposed to be like this. She's supposed to be the person you're caring for, but you would not be here without her. It's truly good. It's good writing. I love this moment right after Lee, beats the ever-loving shit out of that zombie, and he's just covered in blood, out of breath, and he's just like, hi there. It's like, that's just a really fun moment. And then that's also when Clem goes, did you kill it? And Lee goes, you can kind of pick an option. And she goes, because sometimes they come back. Which, it shows us that, again, Clem has might even have a better grasp about what's going on than Lee does right now. And like, that just goes to show how fucked everything is. Because if an 8-year-old can have a better grasp about the world events and a world situation than a fully grown adult, that is definitely an issue. That is a sign that everything around you is collapsing, not going as well. Yeah, not a good sign for sure. And Clem saying sometimes they don't die, that kind of prompts Lee to be like, whoa, hey, little girl, did you have to, like, kill one of these things? Obviously, that's a horrific question. And luckily she says, no, I haven't had to yet. But she sees them getting shot a lot on the street. which, again, kind of makes you wonder, how long has this really been going on for? Like, it's obviously reached Savannah because her parents are over there and we heard the messages. They won't hear anything about Atlanta. Obviously, we know from the show and the comics what is going on in Atlanta. And, yeah, I mean, it's rough what's going on. I think it's also really interesting that, like, on screen or, like, on page comics, we never actually see the apocalypse start. Like, they kind of did it with Fear, but I don't know if they necessarily went for it. It feels like they had the beginning, like, before everyone knew what was happening, and it was, like, the big stuff that we actually want to see, like the fall, we didn't see, and then we saw, like, the aftermath. And it's like, okay, I totally understand why you did that, because let's be real for 1 second. Zombies like this would probably not be able to take over the world. Just straight up. Slow zombies like this, even with lurkers, I don't see it happening. Maybe in a world that has no concept of zombie media, something like that, but they're just so slow, and there's so many military people. Yeah, I don't really see it being realistic. Then we hear Clem say she just wants her parents to come home. And it's such a human, it's such a kid thing, you know, you just want to be with your parents now. And obviously we as Lee and the player, we know that that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And I can't even imagine having to look a kid in the face and tell them, hey, your parents are not coming back. And for better or for worse, Lee doesn't really tell Clem. You know, he tells her, you know, I think that's going to be a while. And I think deep down Clem knows what he means by that. You know, she kind of goes, oh. And, but still throughout the story, she kind of either chooses to block it out or just in the back of her head is just hoping that, like, no, they're still alive and I need to go find them. Again, such a human, you know, goal. It's such a just, again, it kind of shows the hierarchy of needs, right? That when everything breaks down around you, suddenly no one cares about spring break anymore. It's just, I want to find my parents. I want to be with my parents. It's like, whoa. It's really brutal. It's really brutal. And as we hear Clem say that, you know, Lee's face, it kind of contorts with the horror of the reality that they're both living in now. It's just, it's fucked. I mean, this poor little girl has no idea Lee has no idea what's going on. She has a better understanding of what's going on than Lee does. And in that moment, Lee understands. You know, he gets down on one knee and he says, hey, I'm going to take care of you. And it's that moment that shows Lee his resolve as a character, as a person, his moral compass as a character, as a person. And we all make mistakes, just like Lee does. You know, with whatever, you know, with the crime that he did at the beginning of the game that we don't see, you know. It's, this is truly when all of that kind of preconceived notions get turned on their head, and we're able to forget about all of that stuff, and we are just truly giving in to Lee here. And, yeah, it's good. It's great. It's great writing. Truly. And after we get that moment, we get our first big decision as Lee. It's our first decision where we got two options. And this is also the first big decision because it affects Clem. You are now making decisions not only for yourself, but for this poor little girl that needs your help. And it's truly a testament to writing when you have a child character and not everyone hates them. In fact, they're universally loved as a character. Think of every other child character, not in like a kid story, but like an actual child character in an adult story Like look at Carl. Look at Carl. And I'm talking about the show here. So many people hate Carl from the show because he's kind of an annoying little shit sometimes. And like, it's incredibly difficult not to write a kid character as an annoying little shit. Look at Doug, same game. And obviously he's kind of written to be... Did I say Doug? Yikes. Duck. Look at Duck. I'm sorry, all my Doug fans out there. Look, I'm with you guys, okay? I'm also a Doug fan. I cannot believe I just did that, bro. That's crazy. But, Duck, excuse me. Duck, he's an annoying little shit sometimes. Actually, kind of for the entire game. That's just the purpose of his character. Like, he gets whatever. I'm not going to hate on Doug here. I did it again! Oh my god. Okay, I'm not going to hate on Doug here, but... because I think he's also a really good written character for what he's trying to accomplish. But, yeah, I don't know. I have a lot to say about this kind of stuff. But Clementine being written as she is really, that's a testament to how good the writing is in the show. Because, sorry, in the games. Because have you ever met someone who doesn't like Clementine? Have you ever met someone in your life who doesn't like Clementine? I haven't. They don't exist. That's because Melissa Hutchinson is the GOAT, and the writing is goated. That's why. To be honest, the main decision at the end here, where we meet Clementine, is a little bit goofy. Because, like, the decision is to leave now and look for help as soon as possible, or to wait until night and travel at night. I have never understood the thought process of wanting to go at night. And I'm sure there will be, like, at least 10 people in the comments who are like, bro, you gotta pick night because... Listen. I respect your decision. That being said, 1, the decision doesn't really matter at all. And 2, why would you wait until night? It's just darker out. There's more likelihood that you're going to run into people with nefarious reasons instead of people just actually looking for help. And it's just weird. Like, it just doesn't really make sense to me. And I think still to this day, with the amount of repeats that, replays that people have done, I think it's still the majority of the options pick to leave now because it just doesn't really see an option not to. So this decision that you make here, that you can either choose to stay and wait until nighttime and then leave with Clem, or you can leave now during the daytime. This, like a lot of decisions in these style of games, they kind of, I don't want to say they don't matter, but they are like pseudo choices in the sense that no matter what you pick, you're going to have a very similar outcome to what happens. Not all choices in this game are like that. Carly and Doug is the big one that comes to my mind. But it's not that the choices don't matter, because they definitely do. I mean, that's the point of the game. If you think that they don't have a impact on the people around you, like, then you're not going to have any fun with the game. You know what I mean? If you think about it too much like that, then it's not going to be any fun. You have to really immerse yourself in the game. And it's not difficult to do that because the writing, the music, even the graphics, the animations are really good. And so it's very easy to immerse yourself into the game. And the big thing there is the performances are amazing. Every single performance in this game is amazing. There's not one stinker performance. You know what I mean? It is so... Casting? Great job on casting. Sorry for hitting my mic. And, like... So I really hesitate to say that they don't matter, but they have a very similar outcome, no matter what you pick. But it's the idea of what these effects would have on Lee, on the people around you, and mainly on Clementine. That's truly what matters about these decisions. So even if it is a pseudo decision and the outcomes are very similar, still that effect that you have on Clementine in your mind is real. That is a real effect because these people in your mind are so well written that they are real people and that you don't want to have a negative effect on them. Like, what you do really, really, really does matter in these situations. And that, for the 100th time in this video, is really good writing. Anyway, but yeah, that's the the major decisions there that we're going to end the video off on. I'm not sure exactly how long this one's going to be. Hopefully it's around the same time as the last one. Again, sorry for the juxtaposition between this video and the last video. It's just, I'm new to this, so I'm kind of learning as I go. But I think this format should be a little bit easier for me to edit. Should be a little bit easier for me to do all in total. And I think it'd be better for you guys because you get to see me. Yeah, it's going to be pretty fun, though. I think this is going to be a fun series. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. I genuinely cannot thank you enough. The support that I've had on this channel over the past couple weeks is like, it's nuts. It's nuts. It's not something that I was expecting at all. I was truly just doing this, one, for my editing skills, and two, just to yap to my friends. So thank you. And now I feel like I got 200 friends at any point that if I put out a video, you guys will watch it. And that's super cool. Super, super cool. So genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching. That's all that matters, and you enjoyed. And maybe you learned something about the game. If not, whatever, but cool. Thank you. I just want to go ahead and thank everyone very much, truly, for all the comments that you guys left. Really, it's really cool to go ahead and read all of those and see your guys' opinion on kind of the videos that I'm making. It is really neat. I do need to clarify a few things from last video. I, unfortunately, am human. I make mistakes. In fact, in case you didn't know, I'm a pretty dumb human, so I make a lot of mistakes. And, not really, but a few things I want to clarify. The stranger you see in the background is not in the original game. So the stranger is not in the original game. He's only in the definitive edition, which is the footage that I'm using that you'll see in the background throughout these clips. Honestly, I like the style of the definitive edition better. It's a better fidelity, better graphics, and there's those cool little Easter eggs in the back. Honestly though, I don't know if that answers the question if it was intentional or not. It still totally could have just been reusing assets. And a lot of people, they see that and they kind of go, oh, then it's definitely intentional. They want strangers to be there. I don't necessarily think so, though. I think that it definitely still could have been a reuse of assets. They just wanted more fidelity in the background. Having the actual car interiors be there. Because if you look in the original game, it's just like a blank window, like a tinted window. So, thank you very much for watching. If you want to support what I do, honestly, just watching is the best way to do it. If you want to stay up to date with what I post, go ahead and subscribe. And cool, I'll catch you on the next one, guys. Thank you very much. And I swear to God, if there's one comment about me recording straight into direct sunlight, I'm going to be so angry because I just spent 35 minutes editing it. I know, bro. It's so bad. It's such amateur hour shit, bro. I'm sorry. Anyway, have a good one.